As I said last week, there are not increasing, there is a disconnect, I think, between New Zealanders and the justice system that is so serious now that we regard the justice system actually as an oxymoron. In other words, it is exactly the opposite of what it promises to be. And those who have experience of the justice system, as the victims of offenders in particular, have a particular grievance that I would suggest to you links back decades. But it was never more dramatically shown than last Monday when in the Palmerston North District Court, the death of three innocent New Zealanders and the permanent maiming of another seemed to count for naught when a district court judge granted bail to a drug-addled gang member who I can tell you a little bit about, and I will in a second because I know a bit more about them, after they had killed, that particular individual had killed three people and, as I said, permanently maimed another. One of those people was Leslie Brooks, a woman, I think in her early 40s from memory, who was married to our next guest, Michael, and who is the mother of, or was the mother, sadly, of three daughters. And Michael joins us now. Michael, welcome to the show. And I'm very sorry that we've got to have this conversation under these circumstances.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm well. First of all, tell me a little bit about Leslie, will you? How long have you two been partnered, married?
So we had our 20th wedding anniversary last week. Been together 24 years. Three teenage girls, obviously.
How old are your girls?
My girls are twin 17-year-olds and 19.
And you're resident in Palmerston North?
Correct, yep.
So you've lived there all your life?
No, we moved here about sort of 15 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, we met in Australia and moved to the Hutt Valley where I was from, and sort of started holidaying in the Manawatu. This might be a good place to live. Yeah.
And when did Leslie become interested in motorbikes, or was that through your connection?
Yeah, a little bit. I started riding and just sort of riding by myself, and then was introduced to a social club and enjoyed their company, and we all got along really well. So she decided that it was high time she got her license as well, and sort of went down that route. She had ridden motorbikes before, dirt bikes and that sort of thing. So it was kind of second nature to her. She's been riding for probably 4 years. She liked going on the track as well and sharpening her skills and that sort of thing. And she was a really good student of learning how to ride. The boys in the club that we're part of took her under her wing and taught her a whole lot of stuff. And she was becoming a really, really good rider. She was great.
And now tell me about the club that you belong to. So you both belong to you don't belong to a gang, it's a motorcycle club. What do you do? Go away for weekends and trips and things like that?
Yeah, exactly. We spend a lot of time together. It's a social club, so first and foremost, we've got to get along socially together. There's a few social motorcycle clubs. We're road pirates. The boys that passed away in December were from the Bay, from Bay MC.
Yep.
And Jeremy was from Rotorua, so he was part of the Silver City Motorcycle Club. All social clubs, all getting along really well together and just enjoying each other's company around this beautiful country of ours,
Were you on that particular trek that particular day?
Yeah, so we decided the night before we were expecting a few hundred people, and some of us had stayed in Mangaweka camping out on the Friday night just to get things sorted.
Yeah.
So in the morning, as a club, we put on breakfast for the people that stayed that night. My wife, being who she is, decided that that wasn't for her. They'll do a Macca's run. So a few of the boys decided to go with, and so off they went to Tai Happy in the morning to go get some McDonald's.
I see.
And on their
Right.
way back, well, we know what happened.
Before I go into that, I'm obviously interested in how your daughters are going at the moment. It's been now 3 months.
Yes.
I have children of roughly the same age, 20, 18, and 16. So I'm aware of the sensitivities of kids at this age. How are they coping, first of all, Michael?
They're doing okay considering, but they definitely need some help.
What sort of employment were you and your wife involved in?
Yeah, so both work full time. I'm in retail management. She was working for a company at the Linton Army Camp, working
Yeah.
full time as well.
Okay. Now, you on the particular day, and I'm sorry to take you back to that particular day, that Saturday morning.
Yes.
You hear of the accident how?
It had been just over an hour, and we know it's only a sort of 20-minute ride to get there. So we're starting to get a little bit worried, and we sent one of the young fellas to just jump in a car and go for a quiet drive out to there, just in case they're broken down or someone's got a flat tire. We know service out there is a little bit average, so just sort of wanted to make sure they were okay. Just after he left, I'm part of another group chat of riders that aren't part of our social club. They've got their own little thing going on, who I ride with now and again. And one of them, being ex-police, had posted on the page that there'd been an accident in Udaku, 4 bikes versus a car. And of course, straight away my heart sunk. But not knowing where Udaku was, I quickly asked some friends, and they, the first guy I asked just went pale, and right then I pretty much knew. So we jumped in vehicles and headed that direction.
And you get there, and
Yeah.
are you allowed onto the scene or into the scene or not?
So they blocked the road about 2.5, 3 k's short of the scene. It's State Highway 1, and there's not a lot of places to turn around there. So I think they chose that because there was a side road that people could turn down and go around if they needed to. And there was also a good lay-by area where trucks could turn around and go back the other way. So I was met there by police officers. Obviously, there was a few of us that were pretty distraught, knowing that our friends were probably involved in this accident. And police can't give you much detail because they don't know who you or they are correctly at that time. So for about an hour, we sat there trying to figure out a way of knowing whether it was our loved ones or not. And they couldn't give us any information, even though we had their names. But when we gave them license plate numbers of the motorcycles, that's when they confirmed that they were involved in the accident.
So when did you find out that Leslie had passed away?
About 4 hours later. They were trying to do a lot of scene investigation and things like that. They told us that 3 people on the scene had passed. They didn't let on to who they were. We'd known at that stage, then we knew that 2 of them had been flown to hospital. We didn't know who they were. We thought maybe the driver had passed away, or there could have been 2 people in the vehicle. But then we learned, the officer came and saw me and said that they were bringing 2 of the boys and Leslie down now for identification. And then they took us about a K up the road so that we didn't have to see the accident site.
Oh, that's dreadful.
ID'd the bodies there.
When did you first learn, Michael, of the circumstances as to what had occurred? So how the particular vehicle incident had evolved and happened?
Yeah, so it was probably quite clear the next day, or even maybe late that afternoon when the road had opened. A few of the guys had hung around and headed up to the accident site to try to make head or tail of what had happened. But it was pretty clear as soon as they got to the scene that all of the marks or markings that the police had put on the road were all on the incorrect side for the vehicle. It was pretty obvious he had veered off the road and gone straight into 4 of them sort of minding their own business. We knew that they weren't speeding because they were in formation, so they were riding staggered. I know Leslie. I know how she rides. I know how those boys ride. It's a corner in Uruku where it has arrows for the corner, but there's no speed sign. So it's a 100k corner, but I know 100% they would have got to that, backed out just to glide around the corner. They wouldn't have been doing probably 100. So yeah, and then obviously there's just no time to react on a bend when you figure out that car's on the wrong side of the road.
So so you know that the other person's crossed the line, they've careered into your wife and to the other boys. When are you aware that the person who has done that and who has killed your wife is driving under the influence of methamphetamine?
No, we didn't know that for a long time. I just, in my head, I was thinking, some poor 19-year-old kid on his phone's made a tragic mistake, lack of judgment or something like that. Kind of almost felt sorry for them, to be fair.
Yeah.
But as it transitioned and we learned through word of mouth who this person was, who discharged themselves from hospital on the same day, might I add.
He discharged himself from hospital on the same day. What?
Yeah.
From what?
He was flown to Wellington Hospital.
After this particular incident.
Yes.
And then discharged himself from hospital during that day.
Because he
on
was
that scene.
Yeah. I've since learned that it sounds like the police doing the right thing have basically put him in that chopper so that when he got to hospital, they have to take blood.
Right.
Or else we'd have no idea what influence he was under at all.
Were you aware of the gang associations? When did that become evident to you?
That just became a rumour for quite a while. And sort of asking the police point blank, their hands are a bit tied. I think
Were they?
The more they denied it, the more we figured out that it was true.
You mean the police denied to you that he was a gang member initially?
They didn't deny anything. They just sort of kept telling us, they
can't tell
me who.
Yeah.
Which is, it's the system. But the rumours were pretty thick and fast, and
were you aware that the gang was the headhunters?
Oh, I don't believe it is.
Oh, you don't think it is?
No, I believe they are nomads.
Oh, nomads, sorry. Yes, that's right. The nomads are in
Yeah.
that area. It's not Comit. You're absolutely right. Sorry. Yes, they're a
Mm,
Foxton-based gang, aren't they?
correct. Yeah.
Um, Listen, the next bit, I guess, is you're worrying about your family and you're worrying about your daughters and you're doing all the reaction. There would have been a funeral and all those things. You've got Christmas coming up as well, which would have been the worst Christmas in your life.
100%.
I, um, and then obviously this man is going to be charged, but he's charged with driving under the influence of a drug and additional charges of causing serious injury and I imagine causing death. Was there any discussion with you or any of the victims' families as to what the charges would be before they were laid?
The only thing that we knew that he was going to be charged with careless use causing death times three and one of grievous bodily harm. Um, we were unaware of the methamphetamine level until the day of court.
Really? That's extraordinary. And the next bit of that is, did they explain to you why he wasn't charged with manslaughter?
There's not a, I haven't had a full explanation as to why he hasn't been charged. I know it's an ongoing investigation and it could still get upgraded. I know that the police officer in charge told me that they wanted concrete proof of what he was getting charged for, which was the careless use causing death. It was absolutely obvious, but everything's got to be solid. And that they told me that they didn't want to mess that up. So once they had concrete proof of that, then he'd be arrested. So that somehow took 2 months or longer. They tell me that, and I don't know how the system works. You'd probably know better than me, but they're saying they can always upgrade a charge, but they don't want to downgrade them. So with the methamphetamine charge on top is an upgrade on the one previous. So I have been told by the court liaison gets hold of you. They've been very good at trying to keep us up to date with what's happening. So each death comes with 10 years. The grievous bodily harm comes with 5. But I've been told they will run it concurrently, so the most he can get is 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
He'll be charged with 5 and out in 2.5, most likely. So I don't know how that works.
He was also granted bail, and you were very upset
Correct.
about that, Michael, and I imagine why, because your argument was essentially, well, he's just killed 3 people, maimed another.
Yes.
No indication. It comes from the particular kind of background where he's going to take no notice whatsoever of whatever bail conditions you put on anyhow, has priors. At any point did you think, this is crazy?
As soon as they told us that that was going to happen, it was crazy. I did get told right at the start, like a month before the trial, before we knew a whole lot about the case, that he was probably going to get bail, and that his bail conditions would be very harsh. Well, that's very harsh, mate. I live by those conditions that he's at right now. The only perk I get is I get to drive. Um, I, I don't understand. Like, I've got to be home by 7 for my girls. I have to come to
Mm,
work, so I can't do
mm,
drugs and alcohol.
mm.
Uh, he might get, randomly drug tested. So could I. There's absolutely no difference whatsoever. He's just going on living his life. He's not bound to a resident area. He can go wherever he pleases during 7 and 7 during the day. Bear in mind, it was 8 o'clock in the morning when this happened. So what's stopping him
Yes,
from
yeah.
having a bit of pee and going for a drive again?
And that's your major concern now, isn't it? That given the background, the circumstances here, this man could kill again whilst on bail.
Oh, I mean, he wasn't supposed to be driving before. He hasn't got his full license. It just doesn't make sense at all. We don't understand it.
The police didn't oppose bail either. Did they inform you as to why they weren't opposing bail, or did that come as a shock to you on the day?
They spoke to us before the judge came out and explained that he was most likely going to get bail, and they weren't opposing it. You can imagine.
Did they say why?
They didn't say why, apart from that when he was arrested, he'd conformed well and done what he was supposed to do and didn't resist anything or anything like that. They don't find him a threat to society. Not sure why, but you can guarantee that a pee habit like that doesn't stop overnight. So I'd like to know how often they're testing him.
He's also a member of a gang, for Pete's sake. So he's no threat to the public at all while he's on P either. How does this make you feel, Michael?
I'm disgusted, mate. I am. It's so frustrating. I'm angry. I don't want to get too angry about it. There's so many emotions. It's unjust, like it doesn't make sense. It just shows that we're in a legal system, not a justice system. It's I know they have to follow the rules, and they say that he gets name suppression, and
well, that's the other thing. He's got name suppression.
Yeah, so that he gets a fair trial. Well, those 4 people didn't get a fair trial on that day, did they? He was just judge, jury, and executioner all in one. Like, pretty sure if you smoke pee in the morning and then decide to go for a drive, I don't know how it doesn't become manslaughter. That's crazy. I know nothing's going to bring them back, but there's got to be some justice.
Yes, and it's extraordinary that here we are having this conversation and you are exhibiting normal human emotions when someone is near and dear and the mother of your child has just been killed, and you seem to be the least considered in this particular charade. How do the other families feel? Do they feel the same way as you, Michael?
Yeah, I had a bit of a talk to them yesterday, knowing that I was going to be talking to yourself. I've written down a few notes and stuff, and we all feel exactly the same. There is victim support. They've been helping. If I could just touch on that for a second.
Sure.
They rang me the day after the accident. They were very fast to get in touch, and let me know that there's so many things available for you being a victim, but we can't do anything until the gentleman's been charged. So we've had
that's incredible.
2 months of sitting around with no support. Luckily, a lot of us have, we're employed in a place that offers support, for free. So we've had to sort of lean on that. So on last Monday, I got a call from victim support saying that everything can kick in now and we can help you out.
So, a bit bloody late.
Yeah. So everything's already underway. The people behind the victim support, the lady that I've been talking to, is absolutely lovely, and I don't think she understands how it works either. But I was pretty disgusted to know that some of these people around New Zealand are waiting months and months for someone to get charged. People go on the run before they get charged. How are they not a victim yet?
That's absurd. Particularly when, as you say, your support needs were immediate. They weren't just fit some sort of court process. It's absurd. Has there been any contact at all from the person who created this crime or this alleged crime?
No. only time I've seen or heard of him specifically was on that day in court, where we had heard a while ago that he had reached out through a club kind of thing to Jeremy to say how remorseful he was and this and that. Or I can tell you, Michael, by that day in court the other day, he doesn't care. Judge gives us a minute's silence to remember our loved ones that have passed away, and the guy's just standing there all headstrong and proud, didn't bow his head, nothing. So whatever, yeah, he doesn't care. So
your faith in the justice system has already been tested, and certainly it has been found wanting, the justice system in terms of meeting your needs. You've got a lot more to go through. How are you going to approach this, Michael?
Just want to have dignity, I suppose. Don't really want him to let him know that he's getting to us, even though, I mean, he is. It's a shame that one human being can have so much sway on so many lives. There was 500 people at Leslie's funeral.
She looks a lovely girl. I've heard only fantastic stuff about her. You are obviously a loving couple with 3 children in crisis. I can't imagine what your weeks and months are going to look like, Michael, but I do want you to know that there wouldn't be anybody who is listening to this now, anybody who works or is involved with the platform, who would have anything other than support for you. You've got a Give a Little page, which I want to highlight too, please. So there's a Give a Little page for Michael and his family. Please go on that. It's under Leslie's name, is it, Michael?
I believe so. Yeah, it may have expired now, but I'm sure it's still kind of running in the background.
Well, I've seen the photos of the 2 of you. It's a lovely photo. When was that one taken? In the garden?
Oh, just a couple of years ago. Yeah, that was one of my father's birthdays. Not one of my father's birthdays. It didn't sound quite right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay. Michael, it has been, I won't say a pleasure because that's the wrong word to use. It's been an honour to talk to you. We will stay in touch, and any time that you feel the need to say something, this conduit will be open to you, my friend.
Yeah, just on the boys too, Michael. There's 2 grieving families over in Hastings.
Luke
2
Shaw and Jacob
24-year-old
Cody.
boys
Yep.
with their whole lives ahead of them. They were good kids. They rode respectively. They always wore all their gear. Their bikes were always registered and warranted. They abided by the rules. One of them is such a good kid. He's just been accepted to go over to Antarctica to work. He had a future. Their families are struggling. They have Give a Little pages as well.
I will highlight that as well too at the end of this.
That'd be great.
And through the rest of the week, my friend. Michael, thank you. Can't imagine your grief. All what we can do is express sympathy through our words, but also through our actions, through our Give a Little pages, where we'll do that as well. But I don't envy also the pathway that you've got, not just personally, but also through a court system when this is going to come back again and presumably again.
And it will. Yeah.
It will. It will. And we will be here. So the very best of luck to you, my friend. And we will catch up soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Michael. Cheers.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Michael. Michael Brooks. Michael Brooks, the husband of Leslie, father, as you know, of twin 17-year-olds and a 19-year-old. friend of Luke Shaw and Jacob Cody, the two young men who were also killed, and associate of Jeremy Tautini, who has been marred and who has been maimed for life. And the police and the justice system and victim support, on the basis of what you've heard, do you think that they are in any way sympathetic or supportive? Your thoughts?